Strap in and get ready to blast through memory lane. We're diving into the wild world of 80s run and gun games, the kind that had players mashing buttons, dodging bullets, and swearing at their TVs in pure pixelated frustration. These classics didn't just eat our quarters. They defined a whole genre, set the bar for couch co-op chaos, and still pack a punch today. Whether you're a retro veteran or just curious why everyone talks about Contra marathons and arcade showdowns, these top-notch 80s gems prove that old-school run-and-gun action never goes out of style.
Serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law.
RoboCop. Marching into Detroit's meanest streets has never felt as satisfying as when stepping into RoboCop's metallic shoes. The game throws players right into a gritty, side-scrolling battle, loaded with non-stop action, gun-toting baddies, and that iconic Auto 9 pistol. RoboCop isn't just about mowing down everything in sight. Though, let's be real, that's a huge part of the fun. It mixes in hand-to-hand, brawling, dramatic hostage scenarios, and even quirky puzzle segments where you reconstruct suspect sketches under pressure. Power-ups keep things lively, letting RoboCop swap out his standard arsenal for wild options like rapid fire or a three-way blast, turning the Cybercop into a one-man riot squad. Each level changes up the scenery. One minute you're slugging it out in rundown streets, the next you're storming warehouses or squaring off inside OCP's stronghold, all while famous movie villains pop up to wreck your day, including the imposing ED-209, who demands players swap bullets for fists. The game nails that feeling of being an unstoppable machine, but keeps things tense with time limits and tightly packed enemies. Digitized voice clips from the film add a special cinematic punch, making the entire ride feel legit. RoboCop is still a blast today, fast-paced, satisfyingly tough, and a gold standard for arcade movie adaptations that still packs a punch decades later. Ghouls'n Ghosts. Ever wanted a game that cheerfully hands you your butt over and over while looking impossibly cool doing it? That's Ghouls'n Ghosts in a nutshell. It's all about guiding the fearless and hilariously underdressed Sir Arthur through a monster-packed nightmare world where everything on the screen is out to mess up his day. Enemies pop out everywhere, zombies, demons, fire-breathing monsters, you name it. Arthur's got to fight it, and usually while down to his boxer shorts after one unlucky hit. What makes this sequel shine is the freedom to launch attacks straight up or down mid-jump, plus the upgradable armor that actually lets you cast magic for some epic screen-clearing blasts. Every level has its own spooky personality, and just when you think you're cruising, the game drops a brutal surprise, like raining projectiles or unpredictable hazards. There's treasure everywhere, but you never know if you'll score a shiny item or get turned into a helpless duck by some evil magician skulking in a chest. The real kicker, Ghouls'n Ghosts demands not one, but two complete playthroughs to see the real ending, truly weeding out anyone who's not up for the old-school challenge. Flashy visuals, haunting tunes, and that classic Capcom toughness cement this one as an absolute must-play for anyone who loves arcade brutality with a side of dark fantasy charm. Contra. There's just something electrifying about jumping into the mayhem of Contra. Talk about run and gun at its absolute wildest. This game is a total adrenaline rush, with commandos blasting through enemy-infested jungles, storming sci-fi fortresses and dodging bullets like arcade superheroes. The action is relentless. Enemies flood in from every direction, and you need to stay sharp, mashing the trigger and pulling off acrobatic jumps to stay alive. Contra's power-up system is legendary. Snagging the spread gun turns the tide, spraying bullets across the screen and making anyone feel unstoppable for a hot minute. Teaming up with a buddy doubles the chaos and the laughs, especially when you're both scrambling for the same life-saving weapon or accidentally take each other out by pushing too far ahead. The game keeps you on your toes with shifting perspectives, side-scrolling stages, pseudo 3D base levels, wild boss battles, never letting things get stale. Every boss feels huge and dangerous, forcing you to memorize patterns and figure out the sweet spots to land your shots. Even with its infamous one-hit you're out health system. Respawns are quick and the action never stops for long, making failure almost as much fun as victory. Contra's still the gold standard for frantic, over-the-top arcade action. A non-stop thrill ride that proves classic gameplay never gets old. Commando. Nothing screams arcade mayhem quite like charging into enemy territory as Super Joe in Commando. The game throws you straight into the action, parachuted solo into a jungle swarming with enemy soldiers. You gotta shoot your way up the screen with an endless stream of baddies coming at you from every angle. Super Joe's trusty machine gun never runs dry, so you're constantly spamming shots in every direction, mowing down waves of foes and snagging points along the way. Grenades add a spicy tactical twist. They're limited, but chucking one at a clutch moment can clear a tight cluster or blow a dogpile of enemies sky high. There's also something supremely satisfying about rescuing hostages for bonus points, even if hauling them out feels like a small victory amid non-stop chaos. Each level ramps up the pressure, with gates at the end blocking progress until you wipe out fortified squads. The challenge never lets up. Enemy types get smarter and faster, cover gets trickier, and survival demands lightning reflexes and gutsy moves. No complicated story, just pure forward-marching arcade carnage that rewards aggressive, on-your-toes gameplay. The classic soundtrack pumps you up, and the addictive simplicity proves why Commando influenced so many action games down the line. It's one of those retro run-and-gun legends that even today still delivers that rush of dodging, shooting, and outsmarting the odds. Jackal. Jackal is the pure essence of 80s arcade action with a twist. Here, you're behind the wheel of a souped-up Jeep, blasting your way across enemy lines to rescue trapped POWs. Unlike the usual foot soldier fare, Jackal makes mobility your best weapon. Weaving through tank traps, dodging enemy fire, and collecting power-ups from every bunker you raid. The Jeep's rapid-fire cannon handles the crowd control, but it's those upgradable lobbed grenades turned missiles that feel totally satisfying. Watching them explode in all directions is pure arcade joy. You'll catch yourself carefully banking around corners, plotting the perfect run to the next extraction chopper while the chaos intensifies all around. Prisoners spill out everywhere when you blow up a barracks, and scooping them up before hustling them to the nearest landing zone becomes more frantic the deeper you drive into the war zone. Teaming up with a buddy brings another layer of fun and mayhem to the mix as you both try to outmaneuver hordes of enemies, tanks, and even the occasional massive boss. Sure, you lose your precious upgrades with every Jeep explosion, but nabbing them back keeps the adrenaline spiking. Whether you're running solo or in co-op, Jackal's blend of tight controls, relentless enemies, and old-school rescue missions makes every run feel like a high-octane, bullet-dodging rescue operation that never really gets old. Midnight Resistance. Sometimes a run-and-gun game just oozes cool, and Midnight Resistance is that game all the way through. It throws you into a dystopian firefight where you and a buddy, if you're lucky, go on an all-out rampage, guns blazing, to bust your kidnapped family out of the clutches of a mad villain. What sets it apart? That sweet, rotatable joystick lets you fire in 8 directions, so you can lay down cover fire in any direction while sprinting, crawling or jumping, feeling like a true 80s action hero with every move. Blasting bad guys earns you keys, which drop like digital candy and can be cashed in at a weapons locker after each level. The choices are wild: shotguns, flamethrowers, homing missiles, and even screen-wiping super attacks. Just makes each new stage feel like a trip to an armory before the next firefight erupts. Boss battles go big with mad contraptions and bullet storms that'll test even the sharpest reflexes. The catch? Losing a life means watching your keys and hard-won power-ups scatter all over, sending you scrambling to recover them mid-chaos. Midnight Resistance rewards skill, aggression, and a taste for wild arcade style, keeping the pedal to the metal with each fresh wave of enemies and always daring players to mount just one more daring rescue mission. Russian Attack. Russian Attack is one of those games that dares you to pull off the impossible with nothing but grit, fast reflexes, and a trusty knife as your first weapon. Forget overpowered guns. Here, you infiltrate enemy lines as a lone green beret, cutting and slashing through waves of soldiers, marauding guard dogs, parachuting baddies, and the occasional flamethrower-wielding maniac. Power-ups for rocket launchers, grenades and flamethrowers exist, but ammo's always running out, so there's real panic every time you close in on another group of enemies with just your blade. The stage design is relentless, with ladders and multiple elevation changes, so you can leap over trouble or make a desperate climb when things get crowded. Every section piles on new threats, from martial artists to machine gun nests, forcing you to stay aggressive and constantly on the move. What makes Russian Attack wild is its barely there health system. One hit, and it's lights out, sending you back to the latest checkpoint and daring you to push farther. Everything moves at a crazy pace, ratcheting up the pressure, not to mention an invisible time limit ready to kill off anyone dawdling. Beating a level and rescuing POWs feels like a true victory, earned through skill and grit rather than a packed arsenal. Pure old-school arcade intensity from start to finish. Rambo III. If running headfirst into a storm of tanks, choppers and foot soldiers sounds like the ultimate arcade fantasy, then Rambo III delivers that action fix in spades. The game thrusts you straight into the boots of the one and only John Rambo, armed to the teeth with a machine gun that never runs out of juice, a trusty knife for slicing up close, some limited but devastating explosives, and of course the iconic longbow tipped with explosive arrows. You weave through enemy lines in overhead view stages, dodging waves of attacks and blasting your way toward each objective, grabbing fresh ammo and setting bombs while everything around you explodes spectacularly. What really sets the pace is how it alternates the action. One moment you're running and gunning through warzone chaos. The next you're staging tense boss showdowns, trading fire with tanks or helicopters while ducking behind rocks for cover. Every weapon feels powerful, but limited ammo for explosives means you're always planning when to go big or play it safe. With relentless enemy waves and a one hit and you're down setup, you need fast reflexes and nerves of steel to make it through alive. Rambo III is classic, unapologetic arcade mayhem, an explosive, non-stop ride for anyone who ever wanted to live out a wild 80s action flick. Ikari Warriors. Ikari Warriors took the army guy versus the world formula and cranked it up with unique arcade flair that made it stand out in a crowded field. Instead of simple run and gun action, it put a rotary joystick in your hands, so you could march one way and blast in another, laying down fire while backpedaling out of danger. This not only upped the tactics, but delivered that cool action movie hero vibe, especially with a friend in two-player co-op. Every stage is a non-stop push forward through waves of enemy infantry, tanks, and even the occasional helicopter, with weapon pickups and grenades making each screen feel explosive. The wildest twist? You can commandeer enemy tanks, giving you brief but powerful moments of carnage as you plow through the enemy lines. Just don't let them run out of fuel or catch fire while you're still inside. Death was never permanent. Clever checkpoint systems and infinite continues kept the adrenaline rolling, but always demanded quick reflexes and good aim. Power-ups kept things spicy, offering everything from rapid fire to flamethrowers. The military soundtrack and constant challenge defined Ikari Warriors as both a hardcore test of skill and pure co-op arcade fun, earning its reputation as one of the greats in run-and-gun history and a total game-changer for SNK fans everywhere. Heavy Barrel. Heavy Barrel brings pure arcade chaos, trading in foot soldiers for an overhead shooter vibe where you storm a fortified enemy complex absolutely packed with nasties. Unlike most run-and-guns, the real hook here is that rotary joystick, a control scheme that lets you run circles around enemy fire while spewing bullets in any direction, feeling slick with every dodge and burst of gunfire. From the get-go, you're searching for keys to bust open weapon crates. Sometimes it's just a power-up or grenades, but the real treasure? Collecting 6 pieces of the ultimate super weapon, the heavy barrel itself. Finally get it all together, and suddenly you're wielding a screen-clearing cannon that turns you into a walking death machine, but only for 30 glorious seconds, so use it wisely. The enemy variety is wild. Waves of soldiers, tanks, sentry guns, even hulking mechanical bosses that really test your reflexes and firepower. Play solo and savor the challenge, or team up in co-op, and enjoy the hilarious scramble for crate loot and power-ups. There's always a frantic quest for more grenades, frantic dodging as bullets blanket the screen, and a real thrill every time you piece together the heavy barrel and unleash chaos. Fast-paced, explosive, and full of those just one more try moments, Heavy Barrel absolutely nails the run-gun formula and still stands up as a must-play arcade experience. Rolling Thunder. Rolling Thunder is everything a classic run-and-gun fan could want, but with a slick spy filmer makeover that makes every level feel like a high-stakes mission. You step into the role of Albatross, a stylish secret agent, tasked with rescuing his ally from a creepy criminal gang. The game stands out by letting you duck into doors and hide behind obstacles for cover, a move that was way ahead of its time, and adds a layer of strategy to the gun-blazing action. Dual-level stages have you jumping between floors, dodging fire, and taking enemies by surprise, while constantly hunting for extra ammo by raiding hidden rooms. What really cranks up the tension is the limited health and tight time limit, forcing you to move fast and think on your feet, especially as the bad guys mix up their attacks with grenades, bullets, and wild melee moves. The machine gun is a treasured find, shredding masker henchmen in seconds if you're lucky to stay loaded. Its sharp, anime-style visuals, catchy music, and pulse-pounding gameplay kept arcade fans hooked and inspired countless shooters that followed. It's a must-play for anyone who loves their action with a touch of espionage and enough difficulty to keep palms sweaty and just one more try on repeat. Guerrilla War. Pure arcade chaos, tossing you and a buddy into the heat of revolution as fearless rebel fighters, storming enemy-occupied territory to free hostages and topple a ruthless dictator. There's non-stop action as your commandos plow through waves of soldiers, dodging bullets while firing in every direction thanks to rotary joystick controls that let you move one way and shoot another, a clever hook carried over from Ikari Warriors. Tanks and other vehicles add to the explosions, letting you rampage for short, destructive bursts before hopping back out and diving into the fray on foot. Hostage rescues become wild as you need to avoid friendly fire. One accidental shot deducts from your score, so blazing through enemy lines while being careful never gets old. The gameplay cranks up the challenge with boss battles, relentless enemy formations, and power-ups hidden throughout every war-torn street and jungle trail. Guerrilla War never slows down, keeping the adrenaline high with fast respawns, endless supplies of baddies, and frantic co-op play. With its over-the-top action and relentless pace, it's a blast for anyone who craves classic arcade run-and-gun mayhem with a dash of political revolution thrown in, proving that sometimes a tropical uprising makes for the best kind of retro gaming insanity. Exolon. Exolon is an underrated gem that takes the straightforward run-and-gun formula and spices it up with clever mechanics and flashy Spectrum-era visuals. You play as a futuristic space soldier, Vitork, fighting through wave after wave of aliens, homing missiles, gun emplacements, landmines, and some truly vicious environmental hazards. The cool twist: you snag power-ups that let you swap from your agile human form to a chunky, armoured exoskeleton, which packs more firepower and absorbs hits but slows you down. This choice adds neat strategy: zip through tough spots for a points bonus, or bulk up and soak up the chaos. You're always juggling a blaster for standard baddies and rocket-propelled grenades for taking out tougher threats, with each weapon perfectly suited for mowing through swarms or blasting open new paths. The levels are huge, flicking from screen to screen, and filled with upper and lower routes, teleporters, and secret ammo caches that make exploration feel rewarding and tense. Colourful graphics and wild, satisfying explosions really help things pop and keep you hooked for just one more go. No fancy cutscenes, just pure, challenging action where mastering movement, conserving shots, and risk-taking rule the day. Exolon stands out for balancing tactical gameplay with that explosive arcade satisfaction that keeps score chasers coming back. Frontline, the true granddaddy of overhead run-and-gun action, throwing you right onto the battlefield as a lone blue soldier, storming through waves of green army infantry and tanks. What makes it stand out is how it lets you fire independently in 8 directions using a rotary dial, not just shooting straight ahead, which was super advanced for its era and set the stage for later arcade classics. The basic loadout is unlimited ammo with your machine gun and grenades, so it's all about dodging, weaving, and blasting everything in sight as you press forward. Once you push deep enough into enemy territory, the fun cranks up with abandoned tanks you can hop into. Light tanks are fast but fragile, while heavy tanks can soak up a hit or two but are harder to steer. Jumping in and out to avoid getting blown up is a real thrill. The goal? Make it all the way to the enemy's brick fortress, ditch your tank, and lob a grenade over the barricade to net victory and force a white flag surrender. Then it all starts over, only harder and with nastier, faster enemies gunning for you. Frontline isn't just old-school charm, it's a true test of arcade skill and tactical thinking, blending non-stop movement, quick reactions, and a healthy dose of that one more try magic. And there you have it, 15 absolute bangers from the 80s run gun scene that still totally hold up today. These games may be older than some of our game consoles, but the pure adrenaline, crazy co-op memories, and non-stop action never go out of style. Whether it's dodging bullets with a pal in Contra, scrambling for power-ups in Jackal, or blasting aliens with futuristic firepower, these classics prove that good gameplay never ages. They'll test your reflexes, challenge your patience, and keep you yelling at the screen in the best way possible. Dust off that arcade stick and get ready for a wild retro ride, because these legends are always worth one more go.